supply creates its own demand. This statement was given by a French liberal economist, Jean-Baptiste Say, J.B. Say. J.B. Say, the economist, was famous for his law, that is Say's law. And this law was about demand and supply. He said that if there is supply of any commodity or services in the market, in that condition, supply will create its own demand. Okay, so today we will discuss, in my lecture we will discuss about the law of demand. This law was first given by Alfred Marshal. According to this law, there is inverse relation between price and quantity demanded of a commodity, but the essential condition is that other things being equal, other things should remain constant. What are other things? Other things are all those factors which may affect the demand of a commodity, or we can say that other things or other factors are all these refers to the determinants of demand, like income of a consumer, price of other related goods, and the taste, fashion preference, etc., and the future expectation for the commodity. Okay, these things may be considered as other things, and these should remain constant. So this is the law of demand. This law states inverse relation between price and quantity demanded. Inverse relation between price and quantity demanded. The relation is shown here. There is inverse relation. Price of X inversely proportionate to demand of X. Px is price of X. Dx is demand for X. Okay. But we have to keep in our mind the first and important thing, that this law will be applicable only in the condition if other things remains constant. In that condition, if price rises, up arrow is a symbol of rise. Okay. If price rises, then demand for the commodity falls. And vice versa, if price falls, then the demand for such commodity will rise. This is called the law of demand. For the explanation of law of demand, we require some assumptions. First assumption is income of the consumer is given and it remains constant. Then second assumption, it is about price of related goods. Related goods are of two types, substitute good and complementary good, which I have already explained in my live class few days ago. The prices for related goods also remains constant. Other one is taste, fashion, preference of a consumer for the same commodity, it remains unchanged. And the last assumption or the next assumption is there is no change in future expectation, like there is no change in the availability of commodity in near future. Okay, these all are about the assumptions for the constant or for being constant of determinants of the demand. The only thing which may vary here, that is the price of the commodity. The own price of the commodity, it may be vary, it may rise or it may fall. And the effect of price will be shown over the effect of quantity demanded for the same commodity. This is the tabular presentation for the explanation of law of demand. In the table, I have taken first column for price, second column for quantity demanded. The price, we assumed that all other determinants for the demand of a commodity remains constant. The only change which we have to consider here, that is the change in its own price. Okay, so the price for the commodity X will change, and I assume that all these numbers are assumed. I assumed the price, which is earlier it was 2 rupees per unit. 2 rupees per unit. After then it is increased by 2 rupees, and now the price is 4 rupees per unit. Again it is increased by 2 rupees, and now it is 6 rupees per unit. Next is 8 rupees per unit and 10 rupees per unit. Okay, प्राइस जो है हमारा वो 2-2 रुपए से बढ़ता जा रहा है. It is increased by 2 rupees at each level. And the demand, जैसे जैसे प्राइस राइज होगा, डिमांड जो है कमोडिटी के लिए वो क्या होगी, कम होती जाएगी. बिकॉज दिस लॉ स्टेट्स दैट देयर इज इनवर्स रिलेशन इन बिटवीन प्राइस एंड क्वांटिटी डिमांडेड. जैसे जैसे प्राइस बढ़ेगा, राइज होगा, डिमांड फॉल होगी. सो आई अज्यूम्ड दैट एट इनिशियल स्टेज व्हेन प्राइस वाज एट लीस्ट level, at that time the demand for the commodity is higher, and I assumed that it is 20 units. The demand is shown in term of units. It is 20 units. As price rises by 2 rupees per unit, the demand falls, and now it is 16 units. At 6 rupees the demand is 12 units. At 8 rupees per unit price, the demand is 8 units. At 10 rupees per unit price, the demand is 4 units. Now, the graphical presentation of these data, first of all, we have to mention x-axis and y-axis. On x-axis, we are taken quantity of commodity X. Quantity of commodity X, and on y-axis there is Px, that is price. Px is price of X. Okay, price 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 rupees. I have taken 2, 4, 6, 8 and 10 rupees on y-axis. On x-axis I have taken quantity demanded, and the quantity demanded is from 4 to 20. So after 4, I assumed that 1 centimeter is equal to 4 units. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20 and so on. Okay, the first point will be marked at for price 2 and demand quantity demanded 20. Price 2 and quantity demanded 20. Here the first point is here. This is A. Second point, for 4 and 16, price is 4 unit and quantity demanded is 16. 4 and 16. This is second point. Third point, 6 for 12. 6 for 12. Okay, this is the third point. Fourth point, 8 for 8. The price is 8 and quantity demanded is also 8. And the last point is 10 for 4. 10 units for 10 rupees price for 4 units. By adjoining all these points, we will get the demand curve. And this curve shows the law of demand. As this curve is downward sloping, and downward sloping curve is because of inverse relation between quantity and price.